Greetings! Would you look at that? A video that is not about flaws in the furry fandom. Am I okay? I'm not sure. Jokes aside, after making the script of online furry relations and emotional abuse one, I planned on working on something a bit more positive. And you know what? As I sat down thinking, I came to realize there is something all around us that we yet fail to really recognize. That is also something people outside the fandom really understand too. While it's creative, chaotic, colorful, weird, and expressive, this fandom accidentally teaches something deep and something quite human on a fandom based on info animals that's quite funny. It is relational wisdom. In other words, emotional intelligence. Not in a classroom sense, B-stars, LOL, not through lectures or textbooks. I mean, depending on what you consume in terms of books, but through connection, identity, vulnerability, and the strange little worlds we build together. Welcome aboard the relational wisdom of the furry fandom. Today, I want to speak about this unexpected gift and why the furry fandom is one of the most emotionally formative communities on the internet. And before we go further, thank you for 1K. I feel like I thanked you for 500 subscribers not even days ago. Maybe because it's the case. But once again, I didn't expect many people to vibe with my videos and resonate with my speech and ideas. So, thanks again. I'm really happy you are all here. We'll try to pursue that philosophical and psychological journey in the fandom. Anyway, on board. Everything usually starts with emotional expression without permission. Let me explain. Most people grow up being told, don't act this way. Don't show that. Don't be too much. As you often get served, don't be a pussy, be a real man or woman, and other beautiful sentences that destroy our self-esteem and ideas to express ourselves. And somewhere along the way, emotions turns into things we filter, hide, or shrink. Or worse, straight up turned into fuel that is hatred or sadness. Then, the furry fandom arrives. This odd, creative corner where being expressive isn't just allowed, it's encouraging. It is the fuel. Through fursonas, people discover the anger they never expressed, the joy they forgot to show through tears and smiles, the softness they were told to hide to act strong, the confidence they wished they had but were unable to hold, and the identity they always felt but couldn't name. A fursona is what liberates emotion, a way to live and express yourself. And learning to do so is the first pillar of emotional intelligence. Then comes the art of seeing others. To interact in the fandom, you inevitably learn something important. You can't judge someone by how they look. Because, once again, you don't see them at first. You see a fox, a dragon, a rexorium, or whatever the f they chose to represent themselves with. So instead, you learn how to read tone, intentions, personality, humor, boundaries, and empathy. You learn to listen, not just look. You learn that people reveal themselves in layers, sometimes gently, sometimes in bursts. And slowly, you become better at understanding others, even outside the fandom. You learn that a person is more than their surface. That is the second pillar of emotional intelligence. And to continue your journey, you must learn the practice of boundaries. The furry fandom is many things, but emotionally neutral is not one of them. People form friendships fast, relationships faster, conflicts faster still, faster than light, are the dramas. And because of this intensity, you're first to learn boundaries or you burn out. Improvise, adapt, overcome. You learn how to say no to things that are straight up bad. You let yourself communicate discomfort. You leave unhealthy spaces that has become either hostile, cringe, or else. You get to recognize emotional red flags, as well as you must know how to protect yourself without harming others. Fandom spaces act like a training ground for emotional responsibility. The lessons aren't always easy. Most of the time, they hit like a truck, but they are necessary. And those skills will be needed for the rest of your life. Either your real one or your fursona's one. That's the third pillar of emotional intelligence. So when does empathy comes as a language? Well, something unique happens in a fandom built around characters. We learn empathy through fiction. When you talk to someone about the fursona, you're not just learning about a fictional creature. You're learning about the fragments of themselves they've woven into it. Things like their fears, their desires, from food to insecurities, humor, or even story. And when they ask about your fursona, they're doing the same. Or at least you can hope for it. This creates a gentle, subtle form of vulnerability that is a way of saying, this is who I am, without having to expose the whole truth at once. And that exchange builds empathy. Empathy is just wishing to touch another human being, not with your hand, but with your heart. And this is the fourth pillar of emotional intelligence. And then, the last pillar is going from belonging to compassion. Again, for many people, the fandom is the first place where they ever felt accepted, welcomed, understood, and at home. When someone receives that feeling, they often give it back and learn to give it back. They become more compassionate, more patient, and more willing to help others feel included. Not because they're saints, some of us very far from it, but because they finally know what being cared for feels like. On a side note, this is why most of the furry haters becomes furry themselves, because kindness becomes contagious. So emotional intelligence isn't about perfection. It's about awareness, knowing yourself, knowing others, and knowing how to navigate the space between. The furry fandom does not teach this through rules, but through experiences, even bad ones. Through creating, sharing, laughing, comforting, disagreeing, learning, healing, and then trying again. Every interaction becomes practice. Every connection becomes a lesson. And every story becomes a mirror. And at the end of the day, it doesn't just give us characters. It gives us compassion, expression, and growth. It gives us relational wisdom to carry those things beyond the fursuit, beyond the avatar, beyond the fursona, beyond the furry. Well, thank you for listening. Let me know what you think in the comments. It's always interesting to read them. And in any case, have a good day, have a good night, stay safe, and stay you. Bye.